In his press conference this week, Billy Napier pointed out some things that fans desperately need to hear about the Charlotte game. I know that fans were frustrated about how the offense finished at times. And listen, we all wanted to beat Charlotte by more. I wanted it by a lot more. But let's get into what he said that a lot of people are missing about this game. First of all, there were a lot of positives that I don't think that we're talking about. We moved the ball very well. Florida had 395 yards of total offense, 259 through the air, and 136 rushing. So we moved the ball at will until we got into the red zone. And that is where the offense will need to get better. But Coach Napier addressed this head on in his press conference. He says that he thinks these are things that can be easily corrected because in his determination, it was mental errors and technique problems that really caused some of the mishaps that happened in the red zone. And they just, kind of poor timing, right? And when you think about your red zone offense versus the rest of the field, your defense is now defending a very small portion of grass compared to when you're elsewhere on the field, right? It's easier to magnify mistakes. Mistakes hurt more, but if they are correctable things like Napier is talking about, mental errors and technique, that is something that can be fixed. And I loved what he had to say about Graham Mertz. Napier loves Graham Mertz. He likes what he has in this quarterback. He did a great job evaluating him in the transfer portal. Listen to what he says about him.
We're pleased with Graham. Graham's made our team better. His work habits, his attitude, his practice approach, the way he prepares, his leadership. I think this guy's he's done a really good job for our team. He's playing at a high level. We need to keep him cleaner. He got hit a few too many times on Saturday, but the ball's going where it's supposed to go, and the guy's been really accurate. I think Saturday, and look, I think if you charted the incompletions, some of those are bad design, and some of those are drops. So I think, or maybe he's throwing it away because of the rush. So he's playing really efficient for us right now.
He made our team better. He's been really accurate. The ball's going where it's supposed to go. And we're going to talk about Graham Mertz in another video this week, but Napier even commented that he was extremely happy with him because he knows how hard he works. And then he mentioned some of the intangible things that really set him apart too. Graham Mertz has been more than serviceable for the Gators this year. I think that in the offseason, in the summer, we talked a lot about Graham Mertz and whether or not he was going to perform up to the standard that Florida needed him to perform and what we needed him to do for this offense as a whole to be successful. There was a lot of talk about how he wasn't great at Wisconsin for 3 years, so why would it be any different at Florida? Our rivals really talked a lot about the fact that they thought we were going to have a terrible quarterback this year. People ragged on Napier for not being able to pull anybody out of the transfer portal at the quarterback position that was worth a darn. And listen, here we are. Graham Mertz is doing well for the Gators. I think if there's a part of the offense you need to criticize, it is definitely not him. There is some areas that maybe could take some criticism, and I want to talk about special teams because I know that's my first love here, guys, and we can improve on it. But first, I want to show some love to Meldon Law. Listen, guys, there are a bunch of injury firms out there, but there is only one that is a proud supporter, an official partner of the Florida Gators. The official injury firm of the team that plays in the swamp should also be your official injury firm as well. They do so much to give back to the program, and we appreciate our partnership with them a ton. Listen, you may not need them today, but if you're hurt or you know somebody that's in an accident, give them a call or shoot them a message. It's Meldon Law. And if you don't need them today, do me a favor, go to their Facebook and enter to win tickets to the Florida-Georgia game in their ticket giveaway. We're not asking you to buy anything or spend your money. Let Meldon Law treat you to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. There is a link to register in the description. Guys, it is free tickets to what is going to be the hottest game of our season. Go do it right now. All right. We're going to talk about my favorite unit that takes the field, special teams. And guys, they are making strides. There is some room for improvement. We will talk about that in a second. But we were 5 for 5 on field goals. Punts, really good. 2 punts, average 49 yards, great hang time. I really see some improvement here. Trace Mack on kickoffs, every single one of them went out of the back of the end zone, was not returned. That's exactly what you want to see. I think that the Gators have found their groove with their kicking game. They've got the right pieces in place now, and I really think that that is going to benefit the Gators down the line. There's a great chance we play in a game that is decided by a field goal, or even if it's not decided by one, you don't want to miss them, right? Extra points matter. Those were not things that were gimmies the first couple games of the season for the Gators. So this is a huge step in the right direction, really helps to kind of shore up those special teams. But we do need to work on the number of guys on the field. That is a huge issue, in my opinion. I don't buy the excuse that, like, oh, there was a certain set of circumstances and we know exactly why it happened and we're okay with it. No, we are not okay with it. It happened 3 times on the field on Saturday. It's happened in 3 out of the 4 games that Florida has played so far this season. It is not that hard to count to 11. You have 1,000 guys on your staff. Figure it out. You should be sending out the right number of guys every single time. You need some help, I'll stand down there and count for you. It's not hard. I know I just went on a little tangent there, but we've got to improve there. But other than that, Florida is making strides with special teams. They got a hand on a punt. That is absolutely something you like to see. Like I said, kicking has made a massive step in the right direction. So special teams are improving, even though they're not there yet. Let's talk about a positive, though. Napier made sure to highlight this in his press conference. Our defense is legit. They only allowed 211 yards on the day. Napier talked about them being aggressive and wanting to take the ball away. But I don't think they're willing to do this at the detriment of taking too many chances, right? They want to be as solid as they can, as sure as they can. They'd rather make the tackle than attempt to strip the ball and miss the guy. So I'm okay with that. This is a young defense. They're getting better every single day. They're growing. They're trying to figure out a way to keep those fundamentals sound while also taking some chances going after the ball. I really think that this defense, though, is going to keep Florida in games. Outside of the Utah game, they have not allowed more than 16 points in a single game. Florida's offense should be able to score more than 16 points. If you've got a defense that can hold teams to that, you are going to be in almost every game you play. And the turnaround from last season is just astounding. Austin Armstrong was the best pickup of the offseason, and Napier knows it, and he loves what he's seeing out of his defense. And I think recruits love what they're seeing out of this defense. There were some outside factors that factored into this Charlotte game, though, and I think that we need to make sure that we don't forget them, okay? It was an emotional win the week before. That Tennessee game was a monkey on Napier's back. He needed to get that victory. It was the first SEC game of the season. It was huge for the Swamp. There were so many recruits there. That all equates to a massively emotional win. And what happens with a young team is that sometimes there's a letdown afterwards. It's hard to get up for Charlotte like it was for Tennessee. You might have that little bit of, pride in you, like, oh, we are good. Look what we did to Tennessee. That makes you not have a great week of practice. Napier said as much in his press conferences during the week last week. They weren't practicing well. I think that sometimes this happens in young teams. Bad opponent, coming off of an emotional win, it's tough to get up. And that's something this team will continue to get better at because they are so young. You had to learn from it. Look at Bama versus USF, or Texas versus Wyoming, even FSU against Boston College. All of those teams struggled against opponents that they were much better than. But then all of those teams rebounded the next week. Bama beat Ole Miss. Texas beat Baylor by more than 30 points. And FSU won on the road against Clemson. Florida has an opportunity to bounce back from a lackluster performance as well. We've got Kentucky in Lexington on Saturday. If Florida can go up there and win, what happened against Charlotte in the Swamp doesn't matter. All we're going to see on that record is a W, right? We don't care that it wasn't pretty. But most importantly, every single goal that you had at the start of the season is still there for you, is still right in front of you. Go out and beat Kentucky. Nobody remembers what happened at Charlotte. Go out and lose to Kentucky. Nobody cares about Charlotte either. All they care about is that you lost to Kentucky. You have a chance to win and get better while making mistakes. That's what happened against Charlotte, right? That's always better than losing and learning from your mistakes. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't the 40-point victory that Gator fans wanted, but it was still a W. And that is what matters at the end of the day. So many young guys got reps. I think 25 young guys got in on defense and made a tackle. That's astounding. A lot of young guys on offense. We saw Andy Jean, we saw Mizell, we saw lots of guys get touches, get reps, get carries. All of that stuff matters. All of that will be important down the road for their growth. And, if we get in a situation with injuries or anything like that, you will want them to have had game experience. So that's a massive positive. You got the win, but you got to rotate in all of these guys who don't see the field on a regular basis, but need to for experience. So I am always going to take the sloppy win versus a loss where you learn the same lessons, right? This is a positive for the Florida Gators, even if it wasn't as pretty as some of us Gator fans wanted. So now you've got your path ahead of you. Go out and beat Kentucky. If that happens, you are 2-0, not only in the SEC, but in the SEC East. You are then going into a Vanderbilt game at home. It'll be homecoming. That is a Vanderbilt team that Florida should take care of. You are looking at potentially being 5-1 in 2 weeks before you go to that South Carolina game. That's huge. That is so much better than most people in the media predicted Florida to be. This team has the whole season ahead of them. They can finish with a much better record than predicted. It starts on Saturday against Kentucky. Come away with a victory there. Nobody cares about Charlotte. We have a busy week coming up with a video every single day, so make sure you are locked in with the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. We are growing so much week in and week out, and the content we're bringing you is going to be like nothing else this week. If you missed our recruiting update from yesterday with Swamp 247's Blake Alderman, you can click right here to check it out.